Hello everybody, Spooky Sandwoman here. Thank you for checking out episode 6 of Seduce Me, the Otome. I think it's episode 6. Anyway, last episode, we got to an agreement that the guys are gonna stay in the house as long as they help around. And they don't kiss me without permission. So that's good. Also, our parents want to throw a housewarming party for us. Why? But anyway, Naomi and Suzu also came in, found out about our servants. So now we're off to the arcade to play with them. Eventually, I was out the door, walking towards Naomi's car with Naomi and Suzu. Suzu grabbed the entire back seat as I took the passenger side. Naomi started the car and drove off towards the city. Oh, sorry. It was nice driving out with my friends. After all that had happened, it was good just to go out and forget my troubles.
Well, since we got you out of the house, we might as well go to the mall and walk around a bit. We did just eat breakfast after all.
Wow, these girls are actually just like my friends. Yeah, that was a good meal though.
Could have had more flavor in my opinion.
Suzu, you eat chili peppers when you're bored. Everything you eat always needs more flavor.
I still can't get over that, Suzu.
You never eat spicy things, Anderson. You don't know how it feels.
Anyways, after the mall, what do you want to do? We could go to the Pink Lady Cafe and chill out with Kay. I'm sure she'd love the company.
Who's Kay?
But we have to stop by the arcade. They have this new game out called Orion. You get to control this guy named Isaku, and you're part of the rebel forces, and you get to shoot things, and there's robots, and...
Sheesh, we get it, Suzu, we get it. We'll go to the arcade.
Which went first, though? You know how popular Kay is. She'll be swamped with customers later in the day.
I'd rather go in the late afternoon. She had better options during the last hour of the cafe.
So basically after the arcade?
You figured me out so quickly, Patterson.
What did I tell you about using my last name?
Well, let's go to... Let's go to the cafe first. Oh my god. What is this place? We hit the mall and walked around a bit as we planned before driving over to the Pink Lady Cafe. Excuse me, it was a small home-style cafe with a lot of pink. And when I say a lot of pink, I mean a lot of pink. The cafe was crowded, but we definitely caught Kay's attention as we walked in.
Hey girls, hey! Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you! Have a seat, I'll be with you in a minute, okay?
And there she is, as busy as usual.
Told you we should have gone to the arcade first.
Naomi glared at Suzu before leading us to a table to sit at. Suzu sat across from me as Naomi sat at my side. For a couple of seconds of settling into our seats, Kay slid into the empty fourth seat with a smile.
So, how's everything been?
Crazy.
Life's always crazy with you. But I can tell Suzu's not happy to be here. That kind of breaks my heart, you know.
Suzu smirked and gently punched Kay in the shoulder, making Kay laugh. Naomi and I chuckled at the sight. Kay and Suzu were like sisters, wild and crazy. However, Kay didn't have any known relatives, so it was always nice to see her connect with Suzu.
How about you, Naomi? Have you figured out your problems?
No, and now's not the time to talk about them, Kay.
Naomi keeping secrets from us? That's a first.
She holds more than secrets, I'll tell you that much.
You guys!
Don't worry about it, Naomi. You can tell us on your own time. Naomi stared at me briefly before smiling in relief and happiness.
Thanks.
Kay giggled as Suzu rolled her eyes and groaned. Eventually, the four of us just started to chat and talk about random events that happened to us. I decided to not speak about the boys and just focused on school. Truly, though, it was relaxing to feel somewhat human again, without thinking about incubi or anything of that sort. Simple young adult problems were already enough for me to handle. We eventually lost track of the time and wound up staying longer than we expected, making us, aww, I knew I should have gone to the arcade, making us unable to stop at the arcade before going home to dress up for the housewarming party. Kay, as much as she wanted to come, had other plans, but wished us the best. The hour of the house party had arrived. In my mind, I kept double and triple checking the essentials for the party. Knowing my dad, he invited his business partners and the executives of the Anderson Company to show me off. I stood in front of my mirror in my room, staring at my form as a million thoughts ran through my mind. It was just a housewarming party, but at the same time, it wasn't. It was a chance to show my dad that I was better than his expectations. It was a chance for me to see my parents as a woman. It was my task to see if I was ready to live on my own. Well, not truly alone. I think the incubi I had the incubi to thank, but even so, I didn't have my dad guiding me or my mom helping me through living alone. A knock on my door broke my thoughts, surprising me. Who is it?
Hey, are you okay in there? Your parents should be here soon, so you should hurry getting ready.
Well, I'm ready, but...
But what? I'm sure you look fine, Anderson. Just come on out.
Alright. Oh, that's a cute dress, and I have a cuter dress! I love those kind of dresses, okay? Words. As soon as I opened the door to the hall, I watched as Naomi and Suzu's face turned from smiles to complete awestruck stares. What?
Dude, you look hot.
Thanks.
Yeah, you look amazing. Where did you get that dress?
God, I wish I had a figure, though. I've had it for a while. I just never had the chance to wear it. I figured I might as well bring it out now. Sorry, I was just thinking to myself, they kind of look like Power Rangers with their color coordinating things. I stepped out of my room and closed my bedroom door behind me. As I walked down the hall to the grand lobby, the incubi stood waiting for me at the bottom, all dressed to the nines as proper servants.
Whoa, they really know how to dress well, don't they?
Yeah, I'd guess so. Yeah. I was slightly taken aback on how great the boys looked in uniform. Each had the poise of a perfect gentleman. Even Sam! I slowly began to climb down the steps with Susie and Naomi behind me. The boys watched as I descended the staircase one step at a time, like knights waiting for their princess. Eric. I felt my face slightly flush, but I quickly shook my head to try and regain my thoughts. As I reached for the last step, James offered his hand out to me and walked me down that final step, smiling.
As beautiful as a princess, miss.
Thank you. Oh, thank you!
So, are you prepared for tonight?
No. No. I didn't feel confident at all. Something about tonight frightened me. I couldn't tell if it was the fear of my dad or of the guests that Dad surely invited, but something about tonight's party left me beyond nervous. The other boys smiled assuringly at me, which made me feel a little bit better about everything. I looked at my phone and marked the time. Almost right on cue, the doorbell rang. I gulped. I could practically feel my dad's aura from behind the door. Sam and Eric quickly rushed to the door and opened the double doors wide to reveal my parents, both dressed on their best. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad.
Oh my, I didn't know your bequeathment came with servants.
It was probably overlooked. Besides, who would deny good service?
I was completely shocked. My parents didn't question the boys. They didn't ask for verification or anything. I remember one time I went on a date and my mom asked the guy I was going out with for his license. Yeah, that's a thing that happened. Oh my gosh. I looked at the boys and noticed Sam and Eric staring intently at my parents. Were they using their powers on them? They had to be. There was no way they'd be okay with this otherwise.
I guess the servants counted as belongings to the house.
My mother quickly rushed me and gave me a large hug. I hugged her back, inhaling her perfume. It had only been a couple of days, but living away from the ones who raised me was hard. My mother soon let me go and looked at my outfit.
Gorgeous. You look so lovely. David, look at your daughter and tell her I'm right.
I looked to my dad, who was looking around the lobby like an inspector. I stood my ground and waited for him to look at me. When he did, he let a small smile grace his lips.
Your mother's right. You look like you're all grown up.
Thank you. The world around me stopped as my heart pounded hard in my chest. Did my dad just compliment me? On his own accord? My mother was grinning ear to ear at his words. I was beyond speechless. Thank you, Daddy. However, his cold face returned as he began to look around once again.
I assume that you're ready, then, to impress the rest of the guests, correct?
What do you mean?
The entire board from Anderson Toys is coming tonight. Even the vice chairman's son will be coming. All of them will be measuring your potential.
Dad! My potential?
To become CEO of the company.
I don't want to run the stupid toy company. I knew it. Something was off about tonight, and now this party had become much more than I anticipated. I gulped silently, but nodded in response. I looked at the incubi, who were continuing to be servants for my father's approval. I looked behind me and saw Naomi and Suzu raise their thumbs at me for encouragement. I let out a small breath before feeling my body accept the situation. I felt a weight in my gut, but I had to hide it. As if time zoomed forward, all of a sudden, the main hall of the lobby was full of guests. Men and women in formal and business attire showed up to meet me and see my new home. I didn't expect many to come, but I was once again surprised that night. I shook hands with many officials and executive members, putting on the professional face my dad trained me to have. I felt overwhelmed, but I hid it well with a small smile and a handshake. Many even asked me questions. I tried my best to reply as maturely as possible. I had to remember, say what they want to hear, not what you want to say.
So, how do you feel living on your own at such a young age?
I'm so sorry about your grandfather passing away. It really hit all of us hard.
Why is it?
Do you have college plans?
I felt like the questions came up one after the other. It was tough to answer them because some of them weren't about me. They were about the company.
What do you think will happen with the company now that your grandfather has passed?
What do you think of the philanthropic policy the company has?
I'm thirsty.
Do you think the company should expand from just toys?
Eventually the questions stopped and I was back to being by myself. Naomi and Suzu were mingling in the crowds and the incubi were doing their jobs, so I was all alone in a room full of strangers. It was unnerving to think about, but at least I wasn't being questioned left and right anymore. Suddenly my mom pushed her way through the crowd to me, bringing along someone I didn't know. Oh, I bet it's the vice chairman's son.
Honey, I'd like to introduce you to someone. This kind gentleman is the son of the vice chairman.
I don't care. With my mother stood a man who looked only a couple of years older than me. He smiled and held out his hand for me, silently asking for my hand.
Hi, I'm Andrew Lewis. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Anderson.
Thank you. Guess. As I placed my hand into his, he raised it to his lips and kissed over my knuckles. I felt my face burn slightly at the gesture. Andrew smiled at me before releasing my hand.
I'm honored to be invited here.
Cool. My mother smiled at both of us, which made me slightly concerned. Why was she excited to introduce me to Andrew?
So, you organized this party very well, Miss Anderson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Praise is very much deserved.
Andrew then chuckled nervously, bringing a soft fist to his lips to cover his laugh properly before smiling at me.
I'm sorry if I seem a little forward. I've just been excited to meet Harold Anderson's granddaughter.
Huh? Why?
He used to talk about you all the time in the office on how you helped him refine his toys. I only attended meetings and heard all of the stories. You helped a lot with the success of the company without having to actually work there.
Oh, wow. I didn't know he talked about me. That would explain everyone's fascination with me and their rather personal questions. I looked to Andrew, who had a kind face to me. Something about him seemed off, and I didn't know what it was. He seemed to be hiding something. Whether it was good or bad, I was not able to find out. So I felt someone walk up beside me, causing me to turn to them. Next to me was my dad, giving his cold stare to Andrew, who suddenly became tense.
So, you're Jared's son.
Andrew's body twitched slightly. Whether it was fear or insult, Andrew locked eyes with my father. I couldn't help but feel the tension between them. It irked me how fragile the air had become, enough to break at the wrong word.
You're the one who wants to be the next CEO of the Anderson Company.
I guess.
Well...
I stared at Andrew. This guy wanted to take my grandfather's place as CEO? I thought the vice chairman wanted the position.
David, leave the poor boy alone.
I'm merely testing the boy's conversational skills. Nothing wrong with that.
Of course not, sir.
And polite as well. Interesting.
The mother's face is exactly me.
If you'll excuse me.
Quickly, Andrew retreated away from my family into the crowd of people. No, I'm staying put. Fuck him. I watched as he disappeared into the crowd towards the back of the house. I was worried, but I gave him his space. He obviously needed it.
He's not CEO material.
Oh, excuse me.
That's because you practically interrogated the young man.
A little questioning shouldn't have bothered him. He's obviously not ready for any title in our company.
Oh, I never noticed the pearl necklace I had on. Cute. I bit my tongue. I didn't want to make a scene with my dad. One wrong word and he'd lecture me in front of everyone. That was not something that I wanted at my housewarming party. I let out a sigh before looking at the clock. It was getting close to midnight, meaning that the party was going to end soon. I lowered my gaze at the window and saw a limo pull up. Huh? Whose limo was that?
Oh, that must be Lewis's car.
I'll go get him. Stay with your father so you can escort your guests out together.
Yes, Mom. My mother left my dad and me to slowly escort the guests out. My dad held a simple smile as he thanked each person for coming. I did the same. Andrew quickly passed the door before I could speak. Eventually, only Suzu, Naomi, my parents, and the incubi were left. My dad looked at me in slight disappointment. I looked back at him in confusion. What the fuck I do wrong, Dad? What did I do?
I overheard your conversation with our guests. You were stumbling as much as Lewis did.
Shut up, Dad. But I
don't want to hear excuses. I expect that you'll work on your speaking skills while you remain living here.
Okay, whatever, fuck you. Yes, sir.
All right, your mother and I have to leave. I'm sure Naomi and Suzu need to leave as well. Just because it's Saturday doesn't mean you should stay up all night.
Fuck you, Dad! I live by myself now, except for my, servants. I can do what I want. Oh, right.
Thanks for having us. It was a great party.
We'll come visit tomorrow or something. All right?
Right. See ya.
Good night, sweetie. Come visit us soon.
Will do. All 4 of my remaining guests left the building, all but my dad waving back to me. With the last of the guests gone, I sighed and sat on the staircase, exhausted. Whew. That was tiring. And you know what? I'm going to end this episode off right here, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and like, comment, or subscribe. Share with your friends if you think they'd like this. Alright. Bye-bye.